All right, good morning, Houston. This is Paul Sessum. I am a master coach with Workman Success Systems, and I'm based in Los Angeles, California. So a little bit about myself. I have been in the real estate industry since 2004. So we're on to 15 years now. And in that period of time, I've had a very successful business, practice in real estate, as well as being a team leader for Keller Williams for about 9 years. And in that period of time, I have interviewed somewhere thousands of agents, actually, 3,000 to 4,000 agents, I would imagine, have hired over 1,500 agents. And in that period of time, we consistently had about 250 to 280 agents in the office at all times. And that produced in that period of time about $4.5 billion of sales. So I am coming to you with a little bit of background in value propositions and why is that important to brokers and managers and how to think about this. So that's going to be our topic today, is all based on value proposition. So I am looking forward to this time and to spend with you. And let's go over a little housekeeping notes really quickly. Is number one, this call is being recorded so that everyone knows. And it will be sent out to you from the association, so be looking for this recording to come to you soon. And that way, if there's something of interest and you want to revisit it, then it's there for you. Also, if you have any questions while we're going through this, and we will have a question and answer segment at the end of this call or towards the end of this call, you can type in your questions into the question bar, and I will see it. If I don't see it, I have an amazing man that's working with me on this call. His name is Chet Jones, and he's based in our Salt Lake City office, and he's running the slides, and he prepares everything, and he makes this run smoothly for me and Workman Success, an amazing talent, and I love working with him. So what are we going to learn today? Today is about value proposition, and why is this important? Today it's more important than ever. You can hardly walk into any business or any venue that these propositions or these values aren't displayed in some way so that the consumer knows who they're relating to. So that's important so that people are doing business based on the values that are common to them. And understanding what those are for you as a manager and as a broker helps you articulate that to your agents that you're bringing in and to build that culture that you would like to have inside of your office. So how do you determine the value proposition is also going to be part of our system here that we're going to work through today and look at what we're going to focus on and how to build that and then perhaps use that in your office. And then, of course, create and define it so that that shows up. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. And if we can move to the next slide, Chet, excuse me, I have a little bit of a dryness out here. So we're going to be presenting to you several different tools that can help your business grow and to establish your value proposition for your associates. At the end of this call, you'll see a website that you can go to for your free downloads to get the tools that we're talking about, and you can use those in any way that helps you benefit. So stay on to the end, and we'll give you the link for that toolkit. So what is a value proposition? It's a promise to be delivered. So that is the definition of it. It is the principal reason an agent or an associate should be with your company. So how do you stand out against others in your area? Maybe competition, maybe it's just how you're different. So as a broker and as a manager, what are the things that you do that are different than others around you? Some things you're going to do very similarly, of course, and then what do you do that's slightly different? What is it that you are going to deliver, that you will deliver to an associate or an agent coming on board? So your value proposition becomes the unique part of your office and your space that you're going to deliver to an associate coming on board. If we can move to the next slide. So it's the cost versus the benefit equation. So as an agent is thinking about joining a company, they're looking for what is the reason that I join? What's the benefit to me as an agent? that's the motivation that's going to drive people. So their motivation to come with you or to stay with you even is perceived benefits less the cost, which is not only cost when we're talking about the financial cost. We look at the costs that are the non-measurables as well. Like how easy is it and how can I be more productive, right, by being with this brokerage? How are they in alignment with me as an agent? So an agent is looking at it from, I want to grow a business, a broker and a manager can help me get there. What is that? What does it cost me in terms of my time, in terms of my emotional commitment, and in terms of the dollars? So they're going to weigh all of these pieces out, and how do I learn and grow? How am I in a progressive place? So that's going to drive the motivation of who they choose to work with and who they choose to stay with. So if we could go to the next slide. So the value proposition obviously it sets you apart with the benefits that you offer and how they support that agent or associate. Now, I would encourage to focus on the things that you do really, really well. Your value proposition may be a list of many items that are thoughts or processes that you have in your environment, and yet there's going to be 2 or 3 that you do really, really well. When we're thinking about developing this value proposition today, what is it, and start thinking about this at the moment, what is it that you actually stand out in it, that you do really, really well? And those are that, along with a couple of others, is what you want to focus of making a difference. Again, coming back to the agents are always looking, and broker associates, they're always looking for something that's more, better, and different that helps them stand out. And so that's what you want to focus on as we're considering this thought today, a value proposition. Can we go to the next slide, please? So what are the agents actually looking for? They want it to be easy. If you've been interviewing agents, or as you're growing your brokerage, or you're working with your teams, everyone wants it to be easier. They're looking for solutions to eliminate stress. And the brokerage is who they look at, the managers they look at. I've been in that chair. An agent always wants to make it easy. One of the biggest things if you're in that position is agents come to your door frequently. And if they don't come to your door, they come to the designated person's door. And it's a rotating conversation from one agent to the next agent to the next agent that occupies the time of the broker and the manager. So most of the questions that are coming up are very easy. They're something that the agent probably knows. They're just more than anything looking for confirmation. So that knock on your door is easy for them because you're right there. If they had another way to think about it, they can oftentimes solve their own problems, just again, because they are easy. And so you want to be able to provide some way to create ease in their life. They also want certainty. They want to know that the broker is in good standing and that it's going to be there for a while. They have a growth plan. They're looking for how to elevate in the marketplace. And so that certainty of knowing that what has been offered is going to be delivered is super important. This is not unlike a consumer. A consumer has very much the same aspect. They're looking for ease, certainty, and of course convenience. As a broker, I think that that's one of the largest pieces is the convenience piece. And how easy is it to operate in your brokerage, in your market center? Again, as technology comes into our lives and into our businesses, things appear to be easier and convenient for everyone. However, they're not always so. How do we help clear the air for agents and to be able to help them see what really is going to be the most productive tools for them? We're going to talk a little bit about that coming up, and make it easier to sort of sort out all of the wheat and the chaff and just get to what's real. And that's going to be different for each brokerage and different for each proposition that you're building for your brokerage teams, which is another value proposition. Do you support teams in your brokerage? Or are they all independent? It's not there's not a right or wrong to that. It's just more of what is that you're going to present and put forward. So ease, certainty, and convenience. That's what agents are looking for. As broker managers, we're showing them that way. This is how we make it easy on you. We're for sure going to back you up, and we're going to be here to support it, and these systems are solid. And convenience. Just to give you a little story on that, I have been in the position where rolling out a variety of different CRMs to help support agents. And sometimes I stepped on that too soon. So I would roll the product out too soon out of my own eagerness to support the agent base when the products weren't quite ready. I had to learn the hard way as the technologies were being developed. I had to learn the hard way that sometimes it's about being patient to let something complete and build and have the right tools and right supports. This comes back to a lot of your associations and your, with NAR, your Houston Association of Realtors in Texas, of course, is that you're looking to them too, because they're vetting a lot of product and a lot of different technologies as well. We're going to get to that in just a moment, but just as it's coming up. So, so careful what you put in front of agents, careful what you offer as something that's going to help grow their business, to make sure that it actually does work, it's functional, and it's going to deliver on the promise of that technology. Otherwise, that could hurt you and as well as the agent on both sides. So just a little caution there. If we could go to the next slide, Chet. So what is it when we're creating the value propositions? It's all about the environment. What is it that we're going to focus on? We're looking at 5 different systems: the culture of your office, education and training, the systems that you have, productivity, how do we grow people's businesses, and of course technology to support it. These are the key things that agents are really looking for. Now oftentimes they're not even clear about what the culture piece is. Now culture is a big word that gets tossed around a lot these days, and it can be an avoided conversation. However, culture, there's a culture in your office, whether it's intentional or not intentional, it's there. I would look at it and encourage to get very intentional about the culture that you wish to create in your office. And we're going to set up some core values on that in just a moment. Education and training is always prevalent and something that all agents look for, no matter how long they've been in the business, no matter what level they're at, is that piece never goes away. Now, many times as brokers and managers, we get focused on the value proposition to newer associates because that's such an easy and constant flow of agents coming to you, and so you want to have a system around that. These can be expensive systems. They can be timely and costly systems in that regard. And as well as if you have your established broker associates and teams and agents who always need continuing education and raising them up and raising their bars up. So what plans do we have around that, and what are we offering there? And of course, systems that may be in terms of contact management systems or customer relation systems, lead capture, lead management. What systems to help make it easy for an agent to use tools to be able to follow things up? Systems is really one of the key things that supports an agent, especially on the lead side. That's a big, like there's not enough leads, And I would challenge the concept of more of there's enough leads. Are we following them up in a system that you can see where they're coming from? How did they get to you? And track those for quite some time. That system is really critical in terms of supporting to an agent. Productivity, an office and an environment of productivity. What do we offer that helps the agents grow and to drive lead generation and to be in a culture that's productive and generating business outcomes? If your office goes a little flat in production, the energy of the office also dissipates. And so you want to have that environment of productivity that everybody's earning and they're working towards it and they're getting and growing. If not, then you have to start top grading in that idea. So what sort of tools do we have to increase that productivity in your office? And how do you demonstrate that when you're in either recruiting sessions or when you're out presenting about your office? How to present these ideas. And then, of course, technology, big, broad subject of technology. I don't think that's ever going to go away anymore, obviously. And the key thing to think about is in your own budgets is do we have enough allocated to support the technology systems that we really want to offer our associates? And so it's making sure that we're budgeting a little bit more percentage-wise so that we can cover different and various technologies, some of it being experimental and some of it being rock solid. So, so those are the 5 most important things that we're going to be covering today. So Chet, if we can go to the next slide, we're going to jump right into culture. And what are the values that you represent as a company and as a brokerage, and can you articulate these? So establishing the core values is paramount. Now, this is the principles that you govern your office by. This is how you're going to walk your walk and talk your talk. So we have them so that everybody can understand what this group of people or you stand for. And it's important to establish them. There's a couple of books you might want to look at. The Traveler's Gift, which is, if you haven't read it, Andy Andrews. You know, it's about a man who goes and he's in a car accident. He goes into a coma. And in that time, he visits several different leaders in our history. I believe it's Lincoln and it's Harry Truman. And there's just all these different people that he takes a visit with, and he learns about their challenges and how they make decisions and how they move forward. And he's able to come out of that coma and bring that into his own life now that was just a mess. You know, his life was a mess. So how does he use this wisdom to come back to him? Also, The Greatest Salesman in the World, the Og Mandino book with the 10 scrolls to apply to your life or to your business. And, you know, how do you restart every day? How do you begin the day anew? How do you start your day with love and possibility in your heart? And start with those challenges. These are books that can help you establish your own value system and identify what they are. If you're working with a team, this is a good team exercise because we want the brokerage and we want the team and we want the whole group of people to be able to buy into whatever the values are. And the best way to do that is to have them participate in the values of the company and establish what those are. Then you can present that to the team. You as a manager or broker can distill it down to make it work better for them. And then how do you use this, besides it being on a piece of paper and at a presentation? We have to ingrain this concept into the office and into our culture of the brokerage. Is, you know, post these on the wall. Have these as part of the recruiting packages that you have out there. In team meetings, take a minute and just literally like a minute and talk about one of the core values, or moreover, have one of the brokers or agents discuss this core value and how that showed up in either their life or in their business and how to use it. So you can do those values and just go over them over and over and over, because without that implementation, they end up being sort of vacuous and thin. Now, it's when you talk about this and you're bringing an agent on to work for you, now they know what you stand for. It's a way to hire people into the team. It's a way to hire people into the brokerage. It's also a way to release people from the brokerage if the values are not being upheld. It's a release mechanism too. And again, we have to ingrain these by implementing these into a daily culture of what do we stand for. Otherwise, we drift away and we forget what our values are, and then if somebody's not in alignment with that, and we haven't been talking about it, then it's us on brokers and managers of what do we do? How do we not articulate this and keep everybody on the same page? So, so this helps bring focus on hiring the right people into your brokerage, leading the right people in the brokerage. And when somebody's moving out of values, then it's a time to look at what's going on there, and is that the right agent for you at that moment in time? So core values and establishing these are critical to having a foundation of which to build the culture of your office on. These are great value proposition moments. This is what we stand for. If you look at the Workman Success Systems, it's choose to be happy. That's a value proposition that we have there. That's a core value. Communicate openly and honestly. Have and share your vision. Always be in integrity. Live with passion. These are great things to talk about, right? Gratitude, like be in gratitude. I think that's, as we're in this November month, being in gratitude is an amazing opportunity to take this whole month and express it at each and every one of your meetings about what are you grateful for. Give the agents an opportunity to share what they're grateful for. Persist until we succeed. That's one of the scrolls from The Greatest Salesman in the World. So all of this can be implemented easily. Get your core people in, have a great exercise around this, create this, put it up on your walls, have it on each desk in the office, have it as part of your recruiting packages, put it on your websites even, so that people and agents understand what is it that you value. And this is the values that we live by. Chet, can we go to the next slide, please? So the next one, after establishing your core values and implementing those into your office, is what are the education and training systems that you have that you use to support the growth of your group of people. So one of the things that get overlooked oftentimes is simply in an office is role play. No matter what level an agent is at, this has become a critical piece. Practicing scenarios prior to getting in front of people or clients and not knowing what to say. As brokers and managers working with each other, role play is really critical too, right? Of how do we practice our recruiting scripts and how do we practice objections that we're getting from agents? How do we work through that? Are we preparing ourselves to be able to answer questions articulately based on the values that we're offering and sticking to those and working with agents to say, hey, here's our value system. And almost everything that's going to go on inside of the brokerage is going to come back to the value proposition that you offered in the beginning. Is that let's go back. We're always going back. Agents grow. They get distracted. They talk to other agents. Something may be different over at another brokerage or whatever, but this is what we stand for. And role play is part of the education and training where the agents can help each other. So taking 30 minutes or an established time each and every day to be able to role play and have agents exchange concepts is an amazing tool that is can never be underutilized, and it oftentimes is. Nobody has time for it, and it's one of the most critical things that you can have in your office. If you take this same concept, and I'm sure you have, and apply it into anything else that's a profession of any kind, do those professions practice prior to being on the field of play? Well, we know professional athletes in sports do. They spend 90% of their time in practice and about 10%, maybe even less, actually in the field and in the play. An attorney preparing, practicing for trial, they spend hours and hours and hours prepping for those very critical moments that they're going to, how do they say it? How are they prepared? What are the different ways they can say it? What different objections may they get from an opposing counsel? Are they prepared to handle those when they're in the courtroom? Or do they make it up on the spot? And you never really know what's going to show up, so you have to prepare on a pretty high level. This is why I believe it's so important for your senior agents and your experienced agents in your teams to adopt this concept, is that we get somewhat complacent and it stymies our growth a little bit, but to be challenged to come up with new ways of handling objections and moving a client in their best interest to the outcomes that they're after. So how do we do this? Role play is amazing. If you're a chef, if you're cooking in a kitchen, you practice recipes over and over and over again before you put that on your menu. It's just something that you want to know that you can make. It's the practice. It's the practice of what we do. We're in a real estate practice. We say it all the time. And do we actually practice? Well, that's that's a belief system. So either we are practicing or we're not just by doing trainings. Do you have training for your buyer's agents? You know, I know that with one of the programs we have with Workman Success Systems is a program called BAM, and it's Buyer Agent Mastery. Do you have a system for your agents to be able to leverage and be at their best as a buyer's agent? You know, and mostly when newer associates come on board, they're primarily working with buyers because they're easier to run into, so to speak. And while they take a great amount of skill and great amount of time, they're not quite at the level of a listing. So it's an easier entryway into the business. It's a great way to generate a lot of income for yourself very quickly, or an agent. And it's also a good mechanism if you have team environments to be able to support that. So how do you train your buyer's agents? And do you have a system that you're able to do that systematically, because you're always going to be bringing people into your brokerage? Is that going to be a systematically, even doing it the way of the brokerage, if they already know how do we do it your way? So what does that training system look like? And if you're working with the listing side, if you're primarily a listing brokerage, do you have a training and education system for your listing side? Again, we have a tool in Workman Success. It's the Seller Listing Agent Mastery. And that is a phenomenal set of tools that takes an agent from beginning to end on how to structure a listing business. And that's something that you may want to have and implement in your office as well. So how do you support the ongoing education, the ongoing training for your buyers and your listing agents? And if you're developing teams, then how do you use those tools to help those teams develop? I believe you can kind of see across the country, almost everywhere, teams are becoming a big fashion in our industry today, and it is because of specialization. As our business becomes a little bit more complicated for many reasons, is specialization is coming into process, whether it's administration, whether it's a buyer's or a listing specialist, or whatever the function is. So we want to be able to offer ongoing training that's easy for an agent to plug into, that's convenient for them to plug into, and it's also convenient for the broker and the manager. So how can we establish those things? So role play, having proven systems for your buyers to succeed and have success, having proven systems for your listing agents to succeed and have success. So what are the that you have in place that you can articulate clearly as a value to help your clients and your agents grow? So critical training and education is a big piece, a big attractor. Everybody's always wanting to know. Do you invite HAR into your office to talk about the systems that they have to help support? Do you bring in the state council about the change in contracts or what's happening legally out there? Do you bring in top-minded financials so that we understand, your agents understand what's happening with the financial world? Are they, in fact, being educated all the time? Our industry is forever changing, so our education systems have to be forever changing and progressive. So again, very much a surgeon has to be trained on all the new techniques that are coming out. They do know how to operate, that's for sure. However, there's new techniques and new tools and new systems that are always coming up, so they always have to go back to some sort of education and training. It's mandatory for them, thank goodness. It's mandatory for them, and of course when you go into, and God forbid that you have to, or a loved one goes into meeting a surgeon, you vet that surgeon very well to make sure that they know exactly what they're doing and are they up to speed. We're seeing this more today in our real estate practice. The consumer is becoming more savvy, and they want to make sure that we can carry them well, and that we're trained to do it, and that we're up to speed. So the core values, education and training, these are two value propositions that you may want to work on and lead with as part of your presentations as you're recruiting. Our next slide is what are the systems. We touched on this a little bit earlier. Is that how do you make it easy for an agent or an associate to be productive? So a daily success habits tracker, many of you have seen this or some version of this in your careers, is a simple way for an agent to track their business and what they're actually doing on a half-hour basis or an hour basis, or are they making calls, are they sending emails, what is it that they're doing? And if they can put this into a way to measure the outcome, it helps them learn over time. This is not a babysitting tool. This is a tool to help them. It helps them learn over time, where did they get their success. Many associates in our industry have accidental success. And if you have a system that helps them track their activity, because time management is sort of a fallacy in a way, it's about what am I doing? What am I actually doing? And a tool like the Daily Success Habits Tracker, which will be available for you at the download at the end, is a great way for an associate to measure their points. In this particular case, this one is set up for a 61 points in a day. And if you see in that center box, which you can't see right now, but in the center box, each activity has a point system around it. And as the agent is going through calls or text or emails or writing offers or an appointment, which is what we're all about, right? An appointment or closing a deal or the door knocking, whatever it is, each one of those has a point system around it. The goal is that each day is to finish with 61 points in the day. To the left of that is a half-hour increment of what am I doing in the time with the time in the day. And we all have that same time blocked out. What am I doing? What are the activities that I'm doing with my time? And if I'm journaling that correctly, I can look back and say, am I using my time wisely to get the results that I have? So these are great tools to measure how many calls, how many conversations, what's going on, so that an agent can determine what is the specific activity that I'm doing on a daily basis over time that gets me results. Now, there's resistance around this, and that's okay. We just walk through that resistance and get people used to tracking their own activities. Many in our business have no idea how many phone calls they make on a daily basis, or handwritten notes they've sent out, or doors that they've knocked, or leads that they've been following up with. They just don't have a clue. And so having that tracking system helps them understand their business better. Do you have a way for them to track their leads easily? You know, again, here's a copy of a lead tracker, and on that lead tracker summary, it shows the value of an agent's leads. Where do they come from? What is the value of each one of those leads, and what is the opportunity for the agent? What a great tool, right? What an amazing tool to have. And all of the leads are put into the system. It's easy to follow. They're designated according to a specific follow-up system. And as the weeks of the month progress, then the agent has a different follow-up system for each week. So, and then it repeats and it repeats and it repeats and it repeats until you actually make contact with these people that are leads, or they completely go away. Now, what's great about this tracker is that it allows the agent to be able to know the source of where their lead is coming from, the marketing, the sphere of influences that they have in their life. Where do these leads come from? And can I generate more business from those? And of course, tracking the business as it comes in on a listing tracker, and it tracks what's listing, what's pending, or under contract, and then what's closed for the year, so that you can also measure those same results. Do you have tools that help your associates track how they're being productive and or not? Because if they're not doing enough, the system will clearly show that there's more to be done. And it gives them clarity on what's working, not working. So if an agent brought these tools into you and said, this is what I'm actually doing, I'm looking for guidance and support, you would be able to offer a very clear, articulate path on how to help them. Without these, we kind of flounder around, spending a lot of time trying to figure out how do we help an agent? And these tools can bring that clarity. So do we have systems, something that an agent will do 3 times or more? Do we have a system around that so that they can be productive? Next slide, please. Check. So how do you support this? So how do you support your agents and the tools that you give them for lead generating activities? Do you have call nights that could be fun, right? That you once or twice a week, 5:30 to 7:30 or the hours that you choose, do you have a time for agents to come together and create that energy of productivity? And you set some simple goals. Who's made the most dials? Who sent out the most texts? Who set the most appointments, right? That's the whole goal of doing some productivity times together. And you can have some fun, silly prizes. Maybe you bring in pizza, or you have one of your sponsors bring in pizza that helps an agent get focused on their business, and they don't feel so alone. Oftentimes, this is such a lonely sport, right, that we play in real estate. And we want to create an environment, and we want to create the value of coming in so that we can work together to achieve amazing results. So do we have a call night set up? Do we have events that your agents can participate in? As it could be an outreach event into the community. One of the events I had set up when I was in that position, that's always been just still to this day, it's running. It was a Thank a Soldier event where you pack boxes and they go off to our military that are serving around the world, wherever they may be. And so they get this little gift box of love from our home in Burbank, California. And that started off as a very small exercise. And our first year that we did this, I believe it was back in 2009, we packed like 170 boxes, something like that. Within 3 years, we kept building on this event. It's now packing about 1,000 boxes a year. It takes up a full block of the city when it goes on every October. We just had this a couple of weeks ago. 1,000 people come into this. The agents are all there supporting this. A lot of community and service groups are there supporting this, and it's creating this event that's a signature event in the community. City leaders come out, state leaders come out. It's powerful. There's bands, there's music, there's donations going in, boxes are being packed, they're being sealed up, all sorts of the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, football teams, basketball teams, they all come in and rotate times. And it draws in the entire community, and it's an amazing event that took time to build. However, we kept at it to where it's at this level now. And so do you have an event or something like that that draws recognition to your agents for their good deeds and their good works? Agents, generally speaking, want to do great things. Brokerages want to do great things. How can we create a value around that? What is it that you can reach into your community and serve a need for, and bring your team together? How do you give back? There's a brokerage, several brokerages now around the country that they donate a percentage of each closing to charitable organizations. And some are doing it with a charitable organization of the client's choice. Some are doing it from the sense of, we support these 5 and we give to these 5 organizations. And it was amazing at the collective energy of that. I mean, literally millions of dollars being given to help support communities. So that increases productivity because it's an activity that brings public awareness and that inspires agents to be engaged. And as they're being engaged, their productivity goes up. Now they have something to talk about. They have a way to make contact. It's a fantastic piece to do. It's social events and different kinds of events. Learning, education, recruiting events, all of it can be different types of events that you can do. Are you helping the agents focus on the thing that's the easiest, one that they avoid the most unless they're experienced? If your sphere of influence, your past client base, is where a huge segment of business comes from each agent. Do we have systems and events to help that, help them make connections there? So look at, how do we support the productivity from actually lead generating call nights? Maybe it's a door knocking, canvassing activity in the community. Maybe it's an event that you host that's drawing the community to you, or that you participate with another one that you're showing up at. And of course, always, always, always reaching out to the past clients in the sphere of influence. So driving productivity and helping your agents is really critical, helping them think about ways that they can do it that aren't alone. It's difficult oftentimes for people to lead generate by themselves. So think of ways that you can have fun with it and create a value of energy and possibility and support. When an agent's in a room of 5 or 6 agents, 10 agents, 20 agents making phone calls, they may not make a phone call that night, but they get the energy of it and they start listening and they start learning and it rubs off on others. And you're able to elevate them into that. So think of ways to help support productivity, and then you can articulate that in your value system as you present it out to the community at large. Chet, if we could have the next slide, please. And then, of course, technology, our last subject, which is the big, broad, vast technology piece. It's never ending. I think we're also, this is going to sound weird. It's overrated in the sense that we're leveraging technology and somewhat fearful of it, somewhat messy with it, and not sure how to exactly use it. But it's a great word to say we've got great technology. Well, what is it exactly? And one of the things that you have available for you as a broker and a manager is your Houston Association of Realtors technology systems that are part of the package or an enhanced package that is available to your associates. And that is something that they can plug and play, and it's going to be some of the best tools out there. They've already been vetted, they're already working, and for, I think, just pennies on the day, really, they can upgrade to the premium package or the platinum package. I just discovered this myself. Again, I'm based in Los Angeles, California, and our MLS system is pretty decent, and we have some great tools. But I was looking at the MLS Platinum service that the HAR offers, and I was impressed with, beyond the basics of having the realist, easy at hand technology, the super systems, the stats, some transaction management systems, instance CMAs, the RPR. Those are great tools. Your Inman News that gives you access to basically the news and real estate of the day, is that there's this premium package that is all kinds of apps, websites that an agent can help build their own websites with. There's the client experience. It's the rating, the gold star system that's being rated by. Easy for the client. It's easy for your teams to use. Lead capture tools, lead management tools, of course your IDX and your widgets that go along with that, the virtual office, the add-on of Cloud CMA. There's so many pieces involved in that, and trained how to use the system. What a great introductory and ease for you as a broker or a manager to be able to direct your agent to these tools that are available to them. Also, your NAR site and your Texas Association of Realtors, all of these have amazing tools and connections for your agents to expand on their technology. You don't necessarily need to know everything. I mean, you may buy into a lead generating system like Boomtown or Sync or one of those lead generating platforms, Zillow or Realtor.com. You may buy into those technology systems that help generate leads. And then agents are looking for ways to be able to show up in a savvy, easy way. Blogs, I believe the Platinum system offers a blog, and you can go onto har.com and see these tools. So technology is critical, right? So we have to have the right systems and support in your office to run it on so that it's easy for agents to access. One of our biggest hiccups is that we're not investing enough in speed, and you want your technology to be able to have a broadband to handle a lot of activity to make sure your agents can access when they're ready. And there's going to be days that have a lot of agents in the office and days that don't. But both sides of that, you just want to have great marketing and lead management tools and technology that it can go with them wherever they're at. So an agent needs these tools available to them in the field wherever they may be. So these are the systems to really line up that you can start to leverage into your value proposition. And one additional technology is, what is your client relation management system? So what is that CRM looking like? Do you have access to one? Are you offering one to your associates? And if you do, on how to use it, there's several different great ones out there. There's everybody knows Top Producer, there's RealVolve, there's just a ton of different product lines out there for you to take a look at that is get your agents to buy into those. You may have them with your brokerage already that are offered through your franchise. Those are some amazing tools and getting better every single day. So all of these pieces are part of your overall value proposition. If we can go to the next slide, Chip. So you want to sit down and list everything that you provide for the agents and the associates. And just really break that down. Sometimes we take for granted what you're offering. And maybe the agents don't even know that that's a value that you're bringing to the table. So you want to list all of that. What do you provide? Determine which of those 3 services that you do best. Those are the things that you really want to highlight. You, of course, are going to present the whole value proposition. But where is it that your strength is at? And if you don't have that identified yet, now's a great time. As we move into 2020, you want to be stepping into that year with a great package that it can articulate clearly to your agents and associates, and as a recruiting element that you can say, this is what we do best. We don't do everything the best, but we do these things the best. And this is how we stand out. And this is the results that we get as a fact of using that. So state how you're going to roll those 3 services out and clearly identify what's the benefit for your agent and the associate from each of the 3 services. So that benefit could be, because we have such a great lead tracking system, and the agents who are following these systems are capturing more appointments because they're following up consistently from our easy system. And those appointments are converting into more transactions. Have your numbers down. Know what they are. You know, the same thing with, we have a value system that we stand for, so that when we're, we do what's in the client's best interest, whether it's in our best interest or not, it's in the client's best interest. You know, that's a value that we stand on. And articulate all of your values that you're adhering to. And what is the education and training system? What is the culture of the office? What's the environment that you're establishing there? And write those things down, and the things that you're most proud of or can demonstrate at the highest level, you want to present those. So you write those down, organize it, put it online, create a presentation around it, know how you're going to sell that benefit, and stand behind it. And that gives you the security to move out and to recruit and to keep your agents happy and to always be looking for solutions for them. So as we're coming to this wrap-up here, I want to open it up for any questions that anybody might have, any thoughts, any experience that you may have had as well on your relationship to the value proposition that you offer as an agent or a broker or a manager. As an agent, what is it that you may have received that was a good, it was a head turner for you when you heard this value? So I want to hear questions if you have any out there. And I'm hoping that this presentation today, we're at about 50 minutes after the hour. I hope that this presentation today was helpful to you in the sense of bringing some ways to think about how do you present your value proposition as an agent and as a manager, and how you grow that. So I'm going to wait a minute here to see if we have any questions coming in. Chet, if we want to go ahead and go to the download. So to receive your free downloads, workmansuccess.com, HAR Value Prop is the site, and you would get a copy of the Daily Success Habits Tracker, a copy of the Lead Tracker, how to establish your core values, and of course a free business consultation if you would like with Workman Success. So I encourage you to go to these tools and get those and help you implement whatever your value proposition is going to be for this coming year, 2020, or to enhance it. Or if you're establishing something new, maybe now is the time. So getting organized and creating your system will be of great value to you. So I appreciate your time today, and I thank you for being here. Go visit har.com as well to check out the MLS Platinum packages and whatever else they have available there. It's been an honor to speak to you today, and we look forward to our next time. You guys take care. Have a wonderful day.